Good morning, everybody. And I'm going to warn you right off the bat before we start taking questions, which I am, is I'm going to be slow today because I barely slept. So this week I've been sick as a dog and I'm on antibiotics and I'm also on steroids, which is what the doctor gave me. And these things have kept me up like crazy. So usually I'm in bed about 9 o'clock and I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. But I've been staying up till midnight because of these stupid steroids and getting zero sleep. So last night, as usual, I went to bed at midnight, unfortunately. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up to go to the bathroom. And I get up, go to the bathroom, and my wife's there, and she's like awake on playing on her phone. I'm like, "What in the world are you doing awake?" She goes, "I'm in labor." Now, when somebody tells you they're in labor, what do you assume? You assume they're about to have a baby. By the way, my wife is about to have baby number 7. So, anyways, when she tells me, "Hey, I'm in labor," of course, I immediately like jump. I'm like, "All right, let's start getting this stuff ready to the hospital." And she says, "No, I'm watching my contractions. They're not very close together. We don't need to go to the hospital." But after she told me that, I could not fall back asleep because I kept preparing, like, "Oh, we got to get ready to go to the hospital." So I barely slept. So if I look exhausted, I am exhausted, and I may be coughing up a lung. And I've got my phone on. Usually, I have my phone off when we do this, just in case the wife calls me and tells me that we got to go to the hospital. But with that being said, while I am still here, while I'm not having to go to the hospital, please start sending me your questions. Let me know how I can help you this morning. Let me know what you need. I got some other stuff. Do you have any? Somebody said, "Do you have any proof you were in the CIA?" Yes, I do. I have a lot. One comment I read with support said you kind of lisp. I was in the CIA. Lisp. I do not know that I lisp at all. But yeah, of course I have proof. If you go to many of our websites, I put one of the exceptional performance awards that I won with the agency. And I can also tell you that the agency does not like people lying that they were in the CIA when it's not true. There was some guy, I can't even remember. Some guy kept saying it was a CIA officer who was not, and the agency came after him. He got in big trouble. So I'm trying to think of the websites. Like I got so many websites in my head running around right now. I think we have it at. I'm going to type it in to see if it's on that one, and you can see one of the awards from the agency. If you go to ratfight.com, again, if you go to ratfight.com, scroll down just a hair, you'll see one of the awards I received from the agency, and that particular one is dated 17 April 2005. So, yes. And plus, if I have people kind of try and con me sometimes, well, they'll call up and be like, "Hey, Jason, I'm ex-CIA too. I really want to work with you." And it only takes about 60 seconds, well, less than that, 30 seconds. When you ask them some questions, you can very clearly tell when somebody's not been with the agency. Like, same thing I always say, like, if I lied about being a pilot, I don't know the first thing about flying an airplane and being a pilot besides don't crash. So if somebody who was a pilot actually talked to me, they would know within about 30 seconds that I was not a pilot and I didn't know anything about it. All right, let's keep moving on here. Best way to get hired by your country's intelligence service. Well, have a clean background, stay out of trouble, don't do stupid things. And as I always say, do whatever you can to get your top secret security clearance. So a lot of people reach out to me and say, "Hey, Jason, I want to work for the CIA." And I said, "Guess what? Getting your top secret security clearance is the most important thing. And then you can make a lateral transfer. So get a job first with the NGA or the NRO or the NSA or the several other agencies that offer top secret security clearance. And then you can try and make your way over to the CIA, which I had buddies who did end up doing that, guys who were with the NGA. And I think somebody here who knows me from the agency said, yes, you were CIA. So let's see what else. Somebody said, "Do you watch any of the 2A audits on YouTube?" I don't, because I have no idea what you're talking about. So yeah, I honestly don't know what that is. Second Amendment audits, not sure about that. I will say that I was going to say that, but I will say that you got to watch the Second Amendment. And I say watch the Second Amendment, meaning you've got to have plenty of guns that don't exist because unfortunately our government does not respect the Second Amendment like all the other important amendments. I think it was Clarence Thomas or one of the Supreme Court justices that said, like, if people treated the First Amendment the way they treated the Second Amendment, nobody would put up with it, which is absolutely right. Uh, so yes, the Second Amendment, of course, is the important one, which allows all the other amendments to remain in effect. Let me go here. Somebody said, "Hi, Jason. Do you have your trainings around the country or only in Utah?" So we have our 320-acre Spy Ranch in Utah. That's where we do all of our firearms, all of our evasive driving, all that stuff. The only time I go outside of I'll just say the country. The only time I go outside of Utah and our Spy Ranch is for private events. So I'll have private companies bring me into their facility and say, "Hey, we want you to teach us on escape and evasion, or we want to do self-defense." So for the public classes we do, all those, or I'll say all those, one of them takes place in Las Vegas, but 99% of them take place at Spy Ranch in Utah. But if you have a private event or private company you want me to do, shoot me an email, jason@spybriefing.com, and that's when I travel to other places, including outside the country. But very rarely these days am I going outside the country because I've got a wife and 6 kids, soon to be 7 kids, and I don't like traveling that much. I've done it a ton, and it gets old very, very quickly. Um, so let me see. Somebody, Harry says, with regard to self defense, when you consider demonstrating against bigger, stronger males applying resistance. Well, it's all about when I'm teaching like our spy dangerous class, very popular self defense class we do. And one of the things I say, excuse me, is listen, guys, first thing I want you to remember is CIA no longer stands for Central Intelligence Agency. It now stands for crash into attacker. So it doesn't matter if the guy's bigger, it doesn't matter if the guy's stronger. These guys are used to intimidating people. They're used to people cowering and not going to be fighting back. And so you crash an attacker out fast. If you come in and you pummel them over and over very aggressively, I don't care how big the guy is. He's going to be pedaling backwards. He's going to be covering his face, and you can take these guys down. Trust me. Ask me how I know. So, not that I want to be in a fight, because believe me, I don't. I have zero desire for violence. But if it comes, you obviously have to be ready for it. So, really, it's about being aggressive. It's about crashing into somebody and immediately pummeling them. And I don't care if you're doing the rapid assault tactics straight blast, which was Bruce Lee's favorite move. I don't care if you're just coming over doing traditional punching. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you're using palm strikes. It is a crash into attacker and just pummel them over in the face, however you want to throw punches. So it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you're going fast, hard, and aggressively. And that's what wins fights. That's my 60-second version of how to win a fight. Uh, Jesus says, I have a tactical pen with me when I travel, but I was wondering other self-defense tools. So when I travel, I always have my tactical pen with me. And yes, I'm going to do a shameless plug because just this morning started our Columbus Day tactical pen sale where you buy some tactical pens, you get some extras free. So go to tacticalspypen.com if you want to take advantage of our Columbus Day sale. It ends Monday at midnight. But I just look at our inventory and we're going to run out before Monday. So get your free tactical pens now if you want them. But when I travel, besides a tactical pen, I always have some kind of flashlight. So tactical pens and flashlights get me all over the world, meaning I can go through TSA no problem, fly over the country with them. And when I say flashlight, it's a smaller flashlight. So it's a small tactical flashlight made out of metal. That way, not only can I strike with my tactical pen, which is, of course, in my pocket right now, because it always is. So not only can I strike with my tactical pen, but my flashlight, which is right there, and I'm not going to go reach for it. My flashlight, same thing. I can use it as a striking tool. Also, I can use it as a blinding tool. So I'd say the main two things when I fly is going to be a tactical pen and a solid quality metal flashlight. But that is a great question. And Julia, thank you for the upcoming baby. As tired as I am right now and as sick as I am right now, it's going to be fun with baby number 7 and lack of sleep and all that again. You can see my enthusiasm, obviously. Let's see. Charles says, depending on current national security threats facing us with the illegal invasion on the border, will the CIA consider giving a waiver for age? That is a great question. So the agency, I think you have to retire, what is it, age 60? I don't remember because obviously I retired or left before then. But yeah, the agency does give waivers. Like if somebody has a special skill set and they really need you and you're 65 or 70 or whatever, they'll say, yes, you have the waiver. We need to bring you in. So, of course, depending on the situation, depending on the skill set the person brings and they need, yes, there's always waivers for special circumstances. How important, Sir Hot says, how important do you think of having a pistol light? Remember, guys, I'm sick and getting over my sickness, so you're gonna have to forgive my coughing. So for home defense, I have a light on the end of my pistol. It's a Surefire light. Pistol I have right now for home defense, because I always switch it out, is a Walther PDP. That's what's in there. That's what's in my home defense safe right now on my nightstand. I think it's important because it allows you to use two hands. So if I have to go out, I get to use two hands. However, if you don't want to have a light on the end of your pistol, well, then obviously you're going to have a light on your nightstand, which you can pick up, and then you're going around and you're using your flashlight. I like to use, it's the neck index, or people, you can do the Harry's, you can do the neck index. I like the neck index because it's easier for me to see my sights and be more accurate with my pistol. So if you don't have a white light on the end of your pistol, well, then you better practice holding that flashlight up and be able to shoot one hand and still being able to take out the threat. But lights are so dirt cheap these days compared to, when I was buying them back in the day when I first got started. And most pistols, modern day pistols, they have it so you can easily secure your white light on the end. So they got rails. So I think it is much simpler and more of a no-brainer these days to put a white light on the end of your pistol. But good question. AC says or asks, what about mace? For self-defense. So the only reason, I'm not a huge fan of pepper spray as my number one choice is I say, hey, gun, knife, tactical pen, tactical flashlight, then pepper spray. Only because people, if you're spraying it the wrong way, you may spray yourself. If it's windy, you may spray yourself, that kind of stuff. So it works good. I'm much more a fan of the pepper spray grenades. And I am going to show you that because people always ask me about that. So give me 3 seconds because that's right around the corner. And I will grab that for you. And so this is just. And all right, so pepper spray grenade. This is just an example. These I do like because if you're in a car and a mob surrounding you, you roll down your window, you drop this outside, and the mob will disperse. Trust me, it will. Same thing. There's some kind of like crowd gathering on your lawn. You think something's going to go crazy. They're going to invade your home. Throw this bad boy out there. So all you do, and I'm not going to do it because it works very effectively. Again, ask me how I know. Is push that down. Pepper spray grenade goes off, and you can buy these. I'll put it up here so you guys can see it. Phantom OC. It's the same. If you just Google Saber pepper spray grenade, you can see that. So I like these for a kind of mob looting, rioting, crazy situation. But as far as I don't carry pepper spray on me personally for home defense, for regular going out and about for self-defense. So my regular carry when I'm going out about in the day is I've got a knife on me, I got my tactical pen on me, I've got my tactical flashlight on me. I got a million tactical flashlights, so who knows what. Like this is just one example of the million that I own that I use. And then my gun on me, of course, which is typically a Ruger, or not a Ruger LCP. I do have a Ruger LCP, but it's typically a Sig Sauer P365 is the gun I'm carrying these days. Let's see. Let me scroll down here, and they're like jumping around. Let me see. Have I ever been paralyzed by fear? There's a good question. In agency situations, I haven't. And I'm going to tell you the only reason why. Not because I don't get afraid, because I'm human. I obviously do get afraid. I've had adrenaline dumps. I've had my heart pounding out of my chest. But the reason I didn't get paralyzed by fear was training. I remember a few specific situations. And because I trained so well, I trained so hard, and everybody at the agency does, is the response was almost automatic. So when a scary situation, for lack of a better word, happened, you went into training, you knew what to do, everything worked out well. And then, of course, at the end, when all was done, you were like, oh my crap, I can't believe that just happened. So same thing for like a home defense situation. I've had false alarms where my glass breaker alarm's gone off, and I grab my gun flashlight, I move to the room, I'm scanning around and all that. And you get the adrenaline dump, obviously. And then it was a false alarm. It was some hail hitting our window. I checked the cameras, no home invasion, but it all goes back to training. So if you train, if you plan, if you know what you're going to do, well, then you don't get paralyzed by fear. Same thing for self defense. I don't want to be in a fight. I will happily swallow my pride and let some knucklehead mouth off to me, well thinking in my head, like, you idiot, you are lucky I'm so civilized and calm and restrained because I could destroy you right now. That's what goes through my mind. I don't say that. But I'll happily do that because I don't want to be in a fight. I have no desire to fight. I'm not, a 23-year-old kid at the agency anymore who has a huge ego and is happy to get in a fight. These days, I'm a tad bit wiser, not much, but a tad bit. And so I'm gonna try and talk my way out of a fight anytime I can. However, because of training, I'm ready to rock and roll. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I know exactly I'm gonna crash into the attacker. I'm gonna strike, headbutts, elbows, blah, 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 blah. So that's why I don't get paralyzed, is because I've planned, I've trained, and I still train weekly on that type of stuff. Um, Somebody said, I apparently there's a birthing about birth going on in here in the chat box. At home delivery involves two hands clearing the cord from the infant's neck and guiding it out. Then you tie off the umbilical cord in two areas and stim the middle, shoelaces and sharp scissors. Let me tell you, I do not want to have an at home birth delivery. I do not want to deliver my own child. Yes, I have 6 kids, and yes, we're about to have baby number 7, so I've seen it, but I have zero desire. Like, if my wife calls me on this phone and we end up driving to the hospital and I have to deliver that thing in the back of the car, no, thank you. That is not on my wish list or on that list. I want a professionals there. I want the doctors there. I want the medical equipment there. So, knock on wood, I hope I do not have to deliver my baby. That is not something where it's like been on my wish list and I want to check it off or anything like that. All right, let me keep scrolling here and all that kind of stuff. Um, Somebody said, which weapon is useful to defend yourself in a blue state like NYC? Yes, blue states are terrible. NYC is terrible. I go there often on business and I don't like it. So when I go there, I have my tactical pen, I have a tactical flashlight, and you can have a knife. Can't even remember because I've taken knives to NYC, and I'm not going to neither confirm or deny that they were knives that I shouldn't have had there. But I want to say New York is a 3-inch blade limit. I can't remember. But in police like to hassle people all the time if they see the clip. So if I was in New York City, I would not have my knife clipped to my pants pocket as I do in Utah, where I'm walking around on a daily basis. I would have the knife clipped inside my pants, so they couldn't see the clip, and my shirt would be covering it. So if I was in terrible New York City or New Jersey or California or whatever, I would have my tactical pen, tactical flashlight, no gun, obviously, and then a knife, whichever laws, those terrible places allow you to carry a knife. Okay, let me keep going here. Is gun oil the only thing I can use to clean my revolver? So gun oil, another shameless plug. Go to spylube.com. That's the best gun oil on the planet, invented by some guy who is like he's like an Elon Musk type, super smart engineer who like has patents for airplanes, but was also a professional shooter or loved shooting and created his own gun oil. And it works. It's like the best I've ever used. So for cleaning guns, you can buy hoppies, you can buy Ballistol, do all that. So those work great. There's no issue with that. And then yes, you do want to use a quality gun oil for that. So those are things you can use for cleaning your gun. What is the website for the tactical pen? Go to tacticalspypen.com. Let me see. Let me click in the chat. www.tacticalspypen.com. I'll put in the chat box. Hopefully, there are no typos in there. So Tanya says, I'm a senior, don't have a gun or drive anymore in the state I live in. It's illegal for me to have a taser. So I have knives and a lead sap. Yeah, hey, great. I mean, knives are great. Like I don't have it here because it's my car. But our baseball bat flashlight, I love that thing. It's what I use when I walk. It's what I use when my wife walks. So like a good solid metal flashlight, knives, any kind of blunt striking object, I'm all for if you live in a place where you can't have a gun. If you do live in a place where you can have a gun is by far my number one choice. As Sam Colt said, God men made or God. What I'm going to screw up the Sam Colt quote or what they said about Sam Colt. I screwed it up. Remember, I have had no sleep last night. The quote about Sam Colt, which is God made men and Sam Colt made men equal. There you go. I didn't butcher it that time. So I love guns, obviously. And you can see, what do I got behind me today? I have my behind me, you can see my little 38 special. I'll grab it because I love that gun. And I have a lot of 38 specials around my house. And I have my Kel-Tec Sub 2000. So this is the Kel-Tec Sub 2000. This is one of my 38 specials that I own. So this is my Smith & Wesson Chiefs model. What the model is? Remember, I can't even think today. Model 49, 41. Usually I know it right off the bat. But anyway, this is the Chiefs special. Awesome gun. This one is obviously just sitting here, but I have other 38 specials around my house because I've got guns and rapid access safes on every floor of my house. So I don't have to run to my master bedroom if the boogeyman decides to come in my house when I am sitting in the basement. Thanks, but no thanks. Don't feel like running all the way up there, especially when I still feel sick as a dog, as I do right now. Let me see. Somebody asked training site, like website or site. So training is in Spy Ranch in Utah. To our training, go to tacticalspyschool.com. And I will attempt to put it in here too, because that's where you can see the training. We're all sold out for 2023. There's no more training. Tactical Spy, can't talk and type, of course, at the same time. Tactical Spy School, I missed the L. But anyway, all training is sold out for 2023. And a lot of it is already sold out for 2024. But anyway, you can find out there. Let me see what else here. Any updates on the Kel-Tec Sub 2000? This one I own I bought it years ago. So I'm not sure what you mean updates. I mean, I'm sure they've improved it over the years. But yeah, this is one of the old ones. It takes the Glock magazine. You can see my 31 round Glock magazine hanging out from the bottom of it because I live in a free state and I can have 31 rounds or as many rounds as I want. Obviously, if you live in a non-free state, you're going to have that 10-round magazine in your Sub 2000. But yeah, it's a great little gun. It's good to about 100 yards. I mean, you're not going to be taking 1,000-yard shots with it or anything, but it's collapsible, easy gun to shoot, not a lot of recoil. And I own so many guns. So that's one of the guns that I recently pulled out of the safe, which had been sitting in my safe for way too long. Do spies train how to here's a question. Do spies train how to disassemble and assemble guns fast? Well, I'm trying to think how I'm not going to think it's going to be trouble. Anyways, we train how to disassemble and guns. We obviously have to train how to disassemble guns fast, but it wasn't like the movies where, like, if you don't assemble your gun in 60 seconds, you're getting fired or kicked out. Or what was the movie Full Metal Jacket, where they had to assemble their rifle in a certain period of time? So it was nothing like that. Like, obviously, you had to know how to assemble and disassemble your gun, but there was nobody sitting over your shoulder with a stopwatch saying, like, in 3 seconds, you're going to be kicked out of the agency if you don't assemble this gun. But I'm sure if you were a complete knucklehead and could never figure out how to do it, that would not have gone well for you. But yeah, that's more of a Hollywood type of thing about the assembling and disassembling and some drill sergeant yelling over your shoulder. All right, let's see what else. Do spies get an allowance for tuxedos and Aston Martins? I wish we were doing that. If they showed what the intelligence world is on a Hollywood movie, nobody would want to come and see that movie because what's that old quote? It's 90% perspiration and 1% inspiration or whatever. It's basically 99% not super exciting, 1% hold on for dear life. But you do get money for gear and for certain things you need. And there is, again, I got to dance around this stuff. There are certain gear depots, for lack of a better word, where you can go on a shopping spree if you're doing something which requires that type of gear. So yes, you can say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. And I'll just use a simple one. Yes, I need some boots for going over to Timbuktu country. Well, then you can go in and you can pick up a pair of boots, or you can pick up a jacket or whatever type of stuff you need. So somebody said at CIA, do you have to train anything crazy water related like the Navy? I did not. I'm not saying that you don't. Maybe for certain, like there's a lot of paramilitary stuff. Remember, after September 11th, the agency became much more paramilitary. So a ton of Navy SEALs, ton of Delta Force, ton of those special forces guys came over to the agency, and so maybe they did that in their training when they were, you know, that paramilitary training. But I did not, and again, I don't have any knowledge on it. So anything I would be saying again is I have no idea. Um, what do you think about the Glock 19X? I mean, good gun. Glocks are great. I I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Glock, meaning I carried a Glock for years. I'm familiar with the Glock. I own a lot of Glocks. But what I always say is, the reason like so many police officers, Navy SEALs, ex-agency guys immediately love the Glock is because that's what we carry. That's what we know. So when you first leave, you're like, well, I'm just going to go buy what I'm familiar with because you have to buy your own gun. Obviously, you don't get to take your gun from the agency or for anywhere else. So I did the same thing. Bought my Glock 19, but then you realize, hey, Glock isn't the only gun in the world, and since you don't have to use it, since you're not your issued gun and you're not your only choice, you go out and you're like, hey, let me try Sig, let me try Springfield, let me go try Ruger, and you realize there are other guns on the market, which is why my carry gun, home defense guns, are not Glocks because I don't like the trigger, I don't like the ergonomics and everything. So certainly not a bad gun. We know they're durable, reliable, very easy gun to use, but it's not my number one choice of a gun. Like I'm going to take a Sig Sauer. I'm going to take a good 1911. I'm a huge 1911 fan. So usually my 1911 is back there, but can't remember where I took it and put it in another safe. So it's not back there. Actually, I do know where I put it. I took it and did put it in another safe. Uh, so a 1911 I would rather have over a Glock. Those are the guns I love. Um, let's see what else. Somebody says, did I ever have to be a honeypot? No, nobody's gonna have me be a honeypot. But did women approach me where it's clear they were trying to lure me in a honeypot? Yes, it happened. And obviously I did not fall for it. I did not let it happen. Here's one of the things. When you were at the agency, if someone approaches you and you get pitched, and I'll give you the short version of it. Pitch basically means someone approaches you, everything evolves, and you find out this woman is Russian, and she says, hey, I work for the Russian embassy, and long story short, she's trying to recruit you to work for the Russians. Well, you have to report that to the agency clearly. You have to fill out a bunch of paperwork, and I hate paperwork. I detest paperwork, and at the agency, you have to do a lot of paperwork. It's the government. So that's another thing. Nobody, of course, they don't show in the movies, all the paperwork you have to do. So yes, I've had occasions, like one in particular, where it was very clear a honeypot, meaning I was somewhere, gorgeous woman approached me out of nowhere, which doesn't happen in real life, guys, unless you're a billionaire, unless you're a Hollywood celebrity. So doesn't happen to me. So this beautiful woman approached me out of nowhere. Found out she was from Belarus. It was very clear to me that she was leading that way to a pitch. So I got up and left and basically said, nice meeting you, adios, before she could get anywhere near there because I did not want to have to fill out paperwork. Paperwork is going to be the death of me. Let's say. Adam says, did you develop some sort of spidey sense? Well, yeah, I mean, because you're doing the job long enough. Any job you have, whatever your profession is, you see things, you get good at it. The more you do it, the more you learn, the more you picked up, and you get that spidey sense. So yes, you can tell where, hey, this doesn't add up, or hey, this is probably a honeypot, or hey, I'm being followed. I need to run my surveillance detection route a little longer because somebody's clearly following you. I mean, when you do it long enough, you see a car behind you, you're like, that car is following me because they're just maintaining too perfect of a distance. They're not exhibiting that normal human behavior. They're not, normal people are not, again, maintaining that perfect amount of distance behind you every turn you take. It varies. So yes, you develop that spidey sense where you're like, even though I'm not 100% sure that car's following me, because I can tell when somebody's following me. How do you best protect yourself? Stacking Surfer says, how do you best protect yourself from carjacking in Southern California? Well, obviously the answer is move, but if you can't move, because that's where my relatives are from, and I did tell my wife before we get married, I will never live in the state of California. That was like one of my things. Like, I'm dead serious. Don't marry me if you think I'll ever live in California. How do you protect yourself? Well, you have good situational awareness. You don't go to bad places. You have your tactical pen, your knife, your self defense flashlight. And before you get out of the car or do anything, you keep your head up and don't have your your head buried in the phone. Like, again, this is my flip phone because I'm weird. But like the people these days, anywhere I go, I'm always observing, obviously. And we're in parking lots, and I'll come out of Walmart or wherever I'm going. And you walk down, what does people do? When they get in their car these days, of course, they don't get in their car and actually take off. They get in their car and they stare at their cell phone, and they're in their car for the next 15 minutes on their phone before actually going anywhere. Don't do that. Like, everybody else is going to be such easy pickings. Don't make yourself that easy person to pick. Chris said, did you do a live show in Las Vegas like 7 to 10 years ago? I did by chance. That was a crazy and fun story. I had a client who, very, very wealthy, owns a bunch of restaurants, owns stage shows in Las Vegas, and basically said, hey, I have this slot open at the Stratosphere. Would you like to put on a stage show? Kind of like a magician or a ventriloquist or whatever. And so it was about, what was it, 3 to 4 months. I did a Las Vegas stage show. And the plan was I was going to get it launched and then hand it off to a guy who was a professional performer who actually, knew what they were doing. And so I did it, trained a guy, and they never did as well. And then trained a new guy, never did as well. And finally, I was like, listen, guys, I have a real business to run. I don't live in Las Vegas. I live in Southern Utah. And, we can't find anybody. And, guy was very cool, totally nice. And so it just shut down. And I think he ended up putting like a Michael Jackson impersonator or there was some other thing in there. So it was a fun thing, something I never thought I'd do. So yeah, for about 3 to 4 month period, it was Thursday. I got to think, it was so long ago. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, I did a Las Vegas stage show. Something I never thought I'd do. But yes, it was good. It was fun. Chicken Nugget Hunter. My kids would love your name here, Chicken Nugget Hunter. Do you ever plan to write another New York Times bestseller? So yes, I'm going to write some more books. I've got to just find the time, to be honest. I don't know what I'm going to do. If you have any ideas for the next book I should write, like, email me or put in the chat box. Seriously, help me, because I've got so many different ideas and I don't know what would be most popular, most helpful to you. You can also email me at jason@spybriefing.com and say, here's what I think you should write your next book about. That would be super helpful to me. That way, my gazillion ideas on my list, I would actually know what would be most beneficial to you. Let me see what else going down here. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate your kindness. Could you destroy a professional boxer with the training you had? That is a great question. So I would, I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't want to go against Mike Tyson. I wouldn't want to go against Floyd Mayweather. But you have to remember, they have rules in boxing. They can't knee in the groin. They can't headbutt. They can't punch in the throat. And by the way, punching in the throat, great way to stop an attacker. Um, I've trained women who have used that to stop a rapist, meaning guy twice her size. She punched him in the throat when he pinned her against a wall, and she escaped. So they can't do that stuff. So that's what I would be doing. Again, no, I don't want to fight Mike Tyson. I'm not a lunatic. I'm not insane. But when you train in a sport, right? What do? You ingrain those rules in your mind. You ingrain, like, hey, I can't punch in the throat. I can't hit the guy in the groin. I can't gouge his eyes out. The way I train, I don't train in any martial art because I practice. Okay, I've got my training dummy. I'm going to go for the throat on my training dummy. I'm going to go for the eyes. So I ingrain in my mind all the stuff I'm talking about, like crash into attacker, go for the eyes, go for the throat. I haven't trained in martial art because I don't want to train in things of, again, no, you could never in a million years knee a guy in the crotch. Okay, let's see. Let me see what else. Do you recommend a perimeter alarm system? Yeah, absolutely. Perimeter alarm systems are great. I mean, I tell everybody you should have a driveway alarm. So I have a driveway alarm on my house, which is just a PIR, passive infrared sensing alarm. And you put it at the top of your driveway. When somebody comes in, it dings on the base station inside your house, and you can put them all over. Like, I was going to say, so like, I'll tell you, you don't know where I live, But like we have a path that leads up to our house from the back, and I have that. I have one on a path. That way, if anybody tried to come into my property and go up this path through the back, I it would ding, and I know somebody was coming up along the path. So you can put these passive infrared sensors all over your property, and they're great. And when I do home security audits for my high net worth clients, and they bring me into their house to do it all for them, yes, I always bring them a home security, a driveway alarm. I'm going to keep saying it, guys. Remember, I have not slept and I've been dirt sick for a week. But yes, you should have those. You should get those. Let's see what else. How? Just let me see. Sorry, there's so many here. They're coming so fast. I'm trying to score. I'm trying to read. Um, does a deer animal ever hit the ding? Yes, it does. So we had a coyote set it off and kill some of my chickens. What, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago? And so yes, if you have a ton of animals, that they'll trip it, they'll go through. And I don't have that many animals, so mine doesn't go off. We have deer, but very rarely. I mean, if we're gonna have animals in my place, it's gonna be coyotes, maybe a mountain lion. Very rarely a mountain lion where we're at. Um, but yes, it will set it off. So if there are deer like flooding your backyard, you will be driven insane with that chime going off. You will not want that because it will be dinging all the time, since that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to tell you if someone's walking through. Let's see what else we got here popping up. Um, did you see let's see. Joe says, did you see the Philly fatal stabbing? I did not. No, I'm not sure what you're talking about, Joe. He says, guy tripped over a bench running away. I did not. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see that. I mean, somebody's coming at me with a knife. I do know how to defend myself. Well, obviously, I'm going to pull a gun if I have time. If not, it's about controlling the weapon, put your hand out, trying to get two hands on his one hand, and then, of course, headbutting, kneeing, going all that kind of stuff. What I always tell people in our Spy Dangerous class, we do a lot about knife defense, knife fighting. I say, if you do what I teach you, you're going to survive, but you're still going to get cut. Anybody who tells you you're not going to get cut during a knife attack is absolutely lying. But the good news is, if you do what I teach you, you're going to live. You're going to have minor cuts, nothing serious that's going to kill you. So obviously, knife fights, knife attacks are nasty. But if you know how to do it the right way, you're going to live. You're going to go home, and you're not going to bleed out and all that stuff. I got about 5 more minutes, ladies and gents. We've got to roll, and I've got other commitments I got to get to. But as always, keep them coming for the 5 minutes because I appreciate them and love the questions. Does the CIA, Adam says, does the CIA teach you how to be an expert in your particular field and how to maximize your potential? Absolutely. I mean, whatever you're going to do, because obviously there's a lot of jobs at the CIA. There's an analyst. I was not an analyst, but there are, and they teach you how to be an awesome analyst. So whatever your job is, they're going to teach you and train you. And that was the beauty of the agency. You can take so much amazing training. And also about the beauty of the agency is they want you to be a well-rounded person. So even if it necessarily didn't apply to a particular job, and you said, "Hey, I want to go take this," like for lack of a better word, safe cracking class, and it didn't apply to your job, and they had the personnel where you could go do it, they'd be like, "Yeah, go take that training." So the agency is very good about training people and allowing you to train in all types of things, even outside of your job, to give you a lot of experience to make sure you're well-rounded. So they really want their people to be educated, which is always a good thing. Let me see what else. I see the word Darth Vader. I'm sure there was a question about Darth Vader. I have no idea what it was. Trent says, is it good to reinforce your entry doors? So you want quality doors. I will tell you what I do for all my doors around my house, meaning every door that leads to my house, every exterior door. So my garage door, my front door, any other doors. We're trying to think all the doors lead to my house, my back door. Um, I bought one of those metal plates that slides in front of it. So, the flat metal plate, you do have to drill it into your floor, which your wife may not allow you to, but my wife is good to go. And then you slide it in here and it prevents your door from being kicked in. There's a company called Nightlock, which is like the brand name, but you go online on Amazon, Google, there's plenty of other names. And I just bought a generic one. And so I have those at every door, exterior door to my house, which means if somebody's trying to kick in my door, it ain't going to happen. And they're going to be slowed down big time, which of course gives me more time to grab my gun, do what I need to do. So I recommend those. And when I'm doing my home security audit, especially people hire me, they're like, hey, I've got a single daughter or daughter who's divorced with kids. I'm like, all right, we're popping these everywhere because it is a great thing to have. And I have them on my house. Okay, let's keep going here. Um, Somebody said, Parker says, can you do a step-by-step guide on how to hide your information from bad guys finding you? Here's the 30-second version. And a lot of people already have their mail coming to their house. That's a problem. But don't have any mail coming to your house. Don't have anything lead to your house. Don't own your house in your own name. So meaning my house is owned in an LLC. My house is not owned by Jason Hanson. It's wrapped in a trust. Like if you try and find my house, you can't find it. I promise you, because I've got buddies who work for the FBI that when I first told them this, they're like, yeah, we're going to easily find your house. And they couldn't do it. So I have people like computer nerds who are like, Jason, we can find your house. And they send me these really nasty emails and they're like, here's your house. You know what I tell them? I say, go wait there. Go wait there until I show up. Obviously, I control what information's out there. Obviously, I know when you check public records, what shows up. And guess what? There are houses that show up, and I don't live at any single one of them. So I don't have any mail coming to my house. I've got UPS boxes, I've got mail boxes, etc. I've got PO boxes. And that's how I keep knuckleheads from finding me because I get death threats, I get crazies. And so, yeah, there's nothing, not my driver's license. Like if you saw my driver's license, it's not my real home address. If you saw my vehicle registrations, because what if there's a corrupt police officer and he runs my tags and says, I don't like Jason Hanson. He would know where I lived. Well, no, he doesn't because my vehicle registration does not show where I really live. So that's one of the best things you can do. And again, I realize if you lived at the same place forever, if you already have all your mail there, it's harder to do now. But I tell people, like, if you're planning on moving or when you move again, or if you need to move, start from scratch and don't have any mail come to your house. I don't have anything delivered to my house, no Amazon packages, no pizza, no delivery, no DoorDash. So the 8,000 million Amazon packages that my wife orders every month, yes, she does, they all go to our UPS store or one of our PO boxes or whatever, and we go there and pick it up. But nothing comes to my house. I have my phone on because I thought my wife was calling, but that's not her. That's somebody else. So I don't need to answer that. All right. I do have to wrap up, guys, because I've got other commitments here at 9:45. See what time it is. Yes. As always, I appreciate you giving me your wonderful questions, letting me know how to help you, anything you need. And don't forget, our tactical pen sale Columbus Day, because we are going to sell out. I promise you that because I looked at the inventory and because of stupid supply chain issues, we don't have enough. So go to tacticalspypen.com if you want to be able to get free tactical pens as part of our Columbus Day sale. Otherwise, if there's any way I can help you, let me know. Jason@spybriefing.com. Otherwise, I'm going to do another one of these sometime. My schedule's kind of crazy now, training, but we'll do these again. So thank you. God bless you. Have a wonderful Columbus Day weekend. And yes, I'm going to end with a rant. It is Columbus Day. Obviously, people are trying to cancel Columbus Day. Obviously, there's knuckleheads like, no, it's not Columbus Day. It's Indigenous Persons Day. Guess what? Columbus was inspired of God to find the Americas. Was Columbus perfect? No, he was not. Am I perfect? No, even though I try and tell my wife I am. So none of us are perfect. We know that. However, Columbus was a man inspired by God to come to the Americas. So I hope you celebrate Columbus Day. I hope you have a wonderful Columbus Day. And now I'm really going to go. God bless you. God bless your family. And thank you again for your wonderful questions.